The man with the delivery box. The sun was barely rising when the truck pulled up on the quiet street. Birds chirped softly outside, and a young woman named Lily stretched her arms, staring at the empty spot in her small apartment where a bed should have been. For weeks she had been sleeping on a borrowed yoga mat, after escaping an emotionally abusive relationship and moving to this modest place. The only thing she could afford was peace. No luxury, no comfort, just quiet. Lily worked nights as a caregiver at a retirement home. She was kind, soft-spoken, and always put others first. Every penny she earned went toward rent, groceries, and this one purchase, a secondhand bed she found online. It wasn't fancy, it wasn't new, but it was hers. The listing had promised free delivery. She hoped that didn't mean someone would just drop it at the curb and speed off. She heard a knock, soft, polite. When she opened the door, she didn't understand at first. Standing there, in a plain black t-shirt and jeans, holding the headboard, was Keanu Reeves. Her mouth fell open, but nothing came out. She blinked. Was she dreaming? He smiled gently and said, "Hey, I'm here with your bed. I wait." What? He lowered the headboard and wiped his brow. "Long story. My friend owns the store where you bought this. He had a family emergency, so I offered to help with deliveries today." She stepped back, still stunned. "But you're Keanu Reeves." He gave a small shrug. "Just a guy with a truck today. Where do you want it?" Lily was frozen. She wasn't used to kindness. Not like this. Not from strangers, and definitely not from someone famous. Slowly, she led him inside. As he brought in the bed frame, mattress, and tools, Lily offered him a glass of water. He took it, thanked her softly, and sat on the floor, legs crossed like a schoolboy. Then, without making a big deal out of it, he started assembling the bed. She sat on a crate nearby, watching him. "Why are you really doing this?" she asked. He paused for a moment, tightening a screw. "Because I've been helped before, and I remember what it feels like when you have nothing." Her eyes filled with tears. "You okay?" he asked, gently. She nodded, wiping her face quickly. "Yeah, just not used to people doing something without expecting something." He nodded, understanding completely. "Those are the best kinds of things." A soft silence followed. She finally smiled. "You know, you're exactly my type. You know that." Keanu laughed, a genuine, warm laugh that filled the room. "That's the best compliment I've heard in years," he said, looking up at her. But what neither of them realized was that outside, someone had seen everything. A man in a black car parked across the street, lowered his camera slowly. He zoomed in on Keanu's face, then on Lily's apartment number. Then he quietly made a call. "Yeah," the man whispered into the phone. "He's here, and he's not alone." Shadows from the past bed was almost done. Keanu had finished tightening the last bolt when he stood up and gave the mattress a light pat. "There, good as new." Lily looked at the sturdy frame, the fresh sheets she had folded in the morning, and suddenly it felt like her little apartment was starting to feel like a home. Not because of the bed, but because someone had been kind to her without asking why she needed help in the first place. "Thank you," she said softly. Keanu picked up his tools and stood near the door. "Anytime." Before he could leave, Lily hesitated. "Wait, would you like some tea or coffee before you go?" He looked at her, not with the eyes of a celebrity, but with the eyes of a man who had seen the weight of loneliness. "Tea sounds great." So she made 2 cups of chamomile tea. They sat on the floor, legs crossed, the way kids do when there's no table in the room. They spoke about little things, books, dreams, and the silence of late nights. Lily told him she used to be a painter before life got too heavy. Keanu spoke of growing up with nothing, of losing people, and how those scars never quite heal. They just change shape. But as they spoke, the man in the black car outside was still watching. He wasn't just anyone. His name was Mark Tremblay, a paparazzi known for selling stories that destroyed people years ago. Keanu had once refused an interview with him, not rudely, just calmly. Mark never forgot that moment. And now, seeing him in a random apartment with a woman no one knew, Mark saw something he could twist. He zoomed in again, snapping photos. "Gotcha," he whispered. Hours later, while Lily was at work caring for Mr. Jenkins, an old man who always forgot her name, Mark was already selling the photos to a tabloid website. They didn't ask for context. They didn't care. The next morning, Keanu woke up to a dozen missed calls from his agent. Headlines were everywhere. Keanu Reeves caught sneaking into unknown woman's apartment, romance or secret affair. His phone buzzed nonstop. People were talking, judging, speculating. Keanu didn't panic. Instead, he took a deep breath and did something most people wouldn't do. He called Lily. She answered in the staff break room. Confused, "Keanu." His voice was calm. "I just wanted to warn you. Your face might be in some pictures online. Someone took photos while I was delivering your bed." Lily's hands shook. She didn't care about the fame. She didn't even care about her photo being online. What scared her was the past. "Oh no," she whispered. "He'll find me." "Who?" Keanu asked gently. She looked around the room. "Paranoid. My ex." He could hear the fear in her voice. Not just fear. Dread. Keanu didn't ask more. He just said, "I'm coming over." But as he grabbed his keys, he didn't know that someone else was already on the way to Lily's apartment. Someone who had seen the photos, too. Someone she had escaped. And he was not coming to say hello. When the past Knox door creaked open as Lily stepped into her apartment after her shift. She hadn't said a word the whole ride home. Her hands were cold, her breathing shallow. The silence in her apartment felt heavier than usual. She closed the door and locked it once, twice, and then slid the extra chain into place. Her phone. Vibratted. Unknown number. She didn't answer. Then a message popped up. "So this is where you're hiding. Cute bed." Her heart nearly stopped. She dropped the phone, stumbled back, and stared at the screen like it was a ghost. The name didn't appear, but she knew who it was. Alex. Her ex, the man she ran from, the man who never forgot how to make her feel powerless. She sank to the floor, curled up against the wall, breathing hard. And that's when someone knocked on the door. Lily. It was Keanu. She rushed to the door, checked the peephole, then unlocked the chains quickly. When he stepped inside, she collapsed into his arms, trembling. He held her carefully, like someone holding a fragile glass. "He knows where I live," she whispered. "He sent me a message." Keanu didn't say anything for a moment. He just kept holding her until she stopped shaking. Finally, he said, "You're not alone anymore." He stayed with her the whole evening. He made sure all windows were locked. He even moved a small dresser in front of the door. They ate leftover soup, barely talking. When the sun went down, he sat near the door, refusing to let her stay alone. But while Lily slept on the new bed, exhausted from fear and tears, Keanu made a few quiet phone calls. Not to the press, not to his agent, but to people who could help. Meanwhile, in a motel 2 blocks away, Alex watched the same viral article on his phone. His eyes burned with anger. Not because Lily was afraid, but because she had moved on. "Famous now, huh?" he muttered. "Let's see how long that lasts." He opened a bag beside him. Inside were tools. Not weapons, but things meant to scare. Break locks, crack doors, hurt dignity. His plan wasn't to kill. His plan was to remind her she would never be free. Back at the apartment, Keanu heard a noise. It was past midnight. He stood quietly and moved toward the front door. He didn't open it, but his hand hovered over the lock. Silence. Then scratching. Soft, slow, like metal scraping wood. His muscles tensed. He stepped back, picked up his phone, and dialed a number. "Now," he whispered. 2 minutes later, flashing red and blue lights poured through the windows. Lily sat up, startled. "What's happening?" Keanu didn't take his eyes off the door. "You're safe now. I called someone." Outside, Alex was caught mid-step, screwdriver in hand, trying to pick the lock. Officers pinned him to the wall. "I just wanted to talk," Alex shouted, trying to twist his story. "She's my girlfriend." But the police already had screenshots of the threats. Keanu had forwarded everything. The officers looked at the silent man inside the car parked across the street to Mark. The paparazzi. They had his plates. They had his photos. He was questioned as well. By sunrise, the block was quiet again. Keanu sat beside Lily, both of them barely awake, but no longer afraid. "You really called the police?" she whispered. He nodded. "And a friend. He's a former detective." She stared at him. "Why are you doing all this? You don't even know me." Keanu smiled gently. "Maybe it's not about knowing someone. Maybe it's about choosing to stand with them." She said nothing, but her eyes said everything. And for the first time in a very long time, Lily felt something new. Hope. The truth behind the silence. Morning sunlight peeked through the curtains. Lily sat on the edge of her bed, wrapped in a blanket, her fingers tightly holding a mug of tea Keanu had made. The apartment felt different now, safer, warmer, not because her problems were gone but because she wasn't facing them alone. Keanu stood by the window, arms crossed, watching the quiet street below. "He's gone," he said, without turning around. "They've taken him into custody, restraining orders already in motion." Lily nodded but didn't speak, her lips pressed tightly together, her eyes distant. He turned to her, soft-voiced. "What did he do to you?" She looked up slowly. "Do you really want to know? Only if you want to tell me." She stared into her cup for a long time. Then, in a voice barely above a whisper, she began. "At first, he was charming. He brought me flowers, made me laugh, told me I was everything he ever wanted. But after a few months, it changed. Little by little, he would insult me, then say he was joking. He'd break things when he was angry, blame me for everything. And then, the threats came." Keanu sat down across from her, listening without interrupting. "I stopped painting. I stopped seeing my friends. I forgot how to breathe without asking for permission. I wanted to leave so many times, but I was afraid." Her voice cracked. "One night, I packed a bag. I walked out when he was asleep. I slept in my car for 3 days before I found this apartment. I didn't tell anyone where I went. I just wanted to disappear." Keanu reached out, gently placed his hand over hers. "You didn't disappear," he said. "You survived." Tears slid down her cheeks, but they weren't only from pain. There was something else in them now, relief. "Thank you," she whispered. They sat in silence for a while, a peaceful silence. Not the kind that hides fear but the kind that begins healing. Suddenly, Keanu's phone buzzed. He looked at it and frowned. "It's about the photos," he said. "What now?" "They went viral, but not in the way Mark expected." He showed her the screen. "Keanu Reeves helps abuse survivor build a new life. What the paparazzi didn't want you to know." A well-known blogger had written a full article defending both of them. The screenshots, the truth, everything was out. And the internet responded with an outpouring of support. Comments poured in. "Thank you, Keanu, for being the man more people should be. Lily, if you see this, you're not alone. We believe you. I left an abuser too. You're so brave." Lily covered her mouth as emotion overwhelmed her. They believe me," she whispered. "They do," Keanu said, "because truth always finds light." Later that day, Lily received a phone call from an unknown number. She hesitated. Before answering, "Hello," a kind woman's voice came through. "Hi, Lily, my name's Marta. I work with a women's shelter. We read your story. Would you be open to speaking at one of our events?" Lily froze. "I'm not strong enough for that," she said. But Keanu, listening nearby, gave her an encouraging nod. Marta continued, "You don't need to be strong. You just need to be honest. Your story could help someone else." Leave. Lily looked at Keanu, her heart pounding. Then, slowly, she said, "Okay." Later that night, they sat together, not as strangers, but as something closer. Keanu leaned back and smiled. "I came here to deliver a bed, and somehow, I found something bigger." She laughed quietly. "You found a mess." "No," he said. "I found a fighter. Outside, the world was still spinning. But inside that little apartment, something powerful was being rebuilt, one quiet moment at a time." Asterisk, louder than silence. Days passed like gentle waves. No drama, no fear, only the sound of healing. Lily's small apartment, once filled with tension and loneliness, now had warmth in every corner. Not because anything grand had changed, but because the little things finally felt real. Morning, tea shared without panic, quiet evenings without dread, sleep that didn't come with nightmares. Keanu had kept his word. He stayed close, not out of obligation, but choice. He told Lily one afternoon, "I'm not here to rescue you. I'm here because you remind me of someone I lost, someone who was brave, but didn't have anyone when she needed it most." Lily looked at him. "Was she someone you loved?" He gave a soft nod. "My sister, Kim. Cancer took her. But before that, loneliness tried to. I couldn't do anything then. But maybe now, I can be the kind of brother I wasn't able to be before." Those words touched something deep in Lily's heart. She didn't need grand gestures. She just needed someone who understood that silence could hurt more than anything else. Then came the evening of the shelter event. Lily stood backstage, her hands trembling. The small hall was full, women of all ages, some alone, some holding the hands of their children. A few men sat quietly, 2 brothers, friends, sons. They all came to listen, to feel less alone. Lily looked at her name printed on the program. Guest speaker, Lily Jensen. "You don't have to be perfect," Keanu whispered to her. "Just be real." She nodded, then stepped onto the stage. The spotlight was soft, but still felt heavy. For a second, she almost turned back. But then she looked into the eyes of the people in the front row. A girl with a healing bruise on her cheek, a woman holding back tears, and a child no older than 7, clinging to her mother's coat. She began, "My name is Lily, and for a long time, I didn't have a voice." Her story poured out not as a victim, but as someone who had walked through fire and kept going. She spoke of love turned to fear, of nights hiding in bathrooms, of the moment she chose herself over the silence. She didn't mention Keanu's name not to protect him, but because this was about her. When she finished, the room was quiet. Then one clap, then another, then the entire room stood. Tears ran, freely hers and theirs. Backstage, Keanu waited. When she returned, he simply opened his arms, and she fell into them. "You did it," he whispered. She smiled through tears. "We did." The next day, her speech was shared online, not by tabloids, but by the shelter's page. And it went viral, not for drama, not for clicks, but because people saw truth in her words. Comments came flooding in again. "I'm leaving tonight because of you. I thought I was alone. Thank you. Your words saved me." Lily's past no longer held her hostage. Then, something unexpected happened. A major news network reached out. They wanted to interview her. Not about Keanu, not about the drama, but about her courage. "You sure about this?" Keanu asked. She thought for a moment. "I'm not a celebrity. I'm just a girl who bought a bed." He laughed, "And changed the world by doing it." But behind the scenes, someone was not laughing. Mark, the paparazzi, was furious. His story had been flipped. Instead of scandal, he had accidentally started a wave of compassion. The site that bought his photos pulled them. His name was discredited in journalist circles. He had no way of spinning the story anymore. And so, he started planning again. This time, it wasn't about Keanu. This time, it was about Lily. He dug deeper, found her old records, her hospital visits, one small mistake from her past, a bill she hadn't paid, something petty, something irrelevant. But he planned to twist it. He started typing a new headline. "Shelter speaker not who she claims to be, Lily's secret past exposed." And as Lily sat with Keanu that evening, sharing quiet laughter and old stories, she had no idea that another storm was quietly forming. But this time, she would not face it the same way. This time, she was ready. The final word. Morning came quiet, but heavy. Lily sat at her small table, sipping tea, unaware that a storm was already brewing online. Her phone buzzed again and again. Missed calls, messages from unfamiliar names. She finally opened a news alert. Shelter speaker Lily Jensen's past uncovered, unpaid debts, mental health records, and more. Her heart sank. There it was, Mark's revenge. Twisted truths, ugly headlines, old wounds ripped open. She scrolled further, seeing the article twist her hospital stays for anxiety into something scandalous. Her name was trending, but not for the speech, not for the courage. Now it was shame again. She stared at the screen, frozen. Tears welled up, but didn't fall. She had no strength to cry. Keanu arrived minutes later, eyes stormy. "I saw it. He said that she handed him the phone. He did it again. He's desperate, Keanu replied. But you don't need to hide. The truth hurts, Lily whispered. What if people turn away? Keanu sat across from her. Then let them. The ones who matter won't, and the ones who walk away never deserve your truth. She looked at him, her voice breaking. I fought so hard to escape shame. Now it's back. Louder, so be louder. He said, don't run this time. Keanu made a call. One of the networks that had asked for an interview was still waiting. Lily agreed to go live. That evening, she stood in front of cameras, a mic clipped to her collar. Her hands trembled, but she didn't hide them. Yes, she began. I've been to the hospital for panic attacks. Yes, I've struggled to pay bills. I'm not a hero. I'm not perfect, but I survived. She paused. The truth doesn't scare me anymore. Not because it's easy, but because I'm tired of hiding. If you've ever been afraid of your past, I want you to know something. You are not your worst moment. She looked straight into the camera. And if anyone thinks, my pain makes me weak, then they've never met a woman who chose to start over with nothing but a bed and her name. The anchor had no questions, only a nod of respect. The clip went viral. Again. But this time, something changed. Even people who didn't know her stood up for her. Comments flooded in. Thank you for telling the whole truth. I've been through the same thing. I feel seen. Your courage is the real headline. Mark Tremblay's article was pulled. His publisher issued an apology. The shelter filed a formal complaint against him for harassment. His career faded quietly. His story forgotten. But Lily's, hers kept growing. Days later, the shelter offered her a job as a speaker and peer counselor. Me? She asked, stunned. The director smiled. You already saved more people than you'll ever meet. Keanu helped her paint her apartment walls that weekend, soft yellow. Hopeful. They laughed. They got messy, and for the first time in a long time, the laughter wasn't followed by fear. That night, Lily looked at him from across the room. I don't know what to call this. You being here, all this. He looked up from the paintbrush. You don't have to call it anything. She walked closer. Maybe not, but I want you to know something. He raised an eyebrow. You're still exactly my type, she whispered. He smiled, the kind of smile that holds 1,000 quiet memories. And you, he said, are exactly the kind of strong the world needs more of. They didn't kiss. They didn't rush into anything. But they sat side by side, watching the paint dry, letting the quiet fill the space with something gentle. Hope. Friendship. Maybe more. But for now, enough. The woman who once hid behind her silence now stood tall with her truth. And the man who once delivered a bed, he helped deliver something far more powerful. He helped her believe in herself again.